check. Check one. Okay, we're almost there. Could be perfect timing. We might be able to do perfect time, and then we go to here. It worked. Oh, hey, how's it going? Welcome to Hal Sparks Megaworldwiide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Mic is on. You're here. Chat. Whoops, the wrong button. Damn it. There it is. Chat room. Hi. I got my buttons shuffled, and if that, that's more fun than a stick in the eye. If that's your idea of a good time. G'day from Sydney, Australia. Hello, everyone down there. Hello from the frigid cold in Iowa. That is not, strictly speaking, an Iowa accent. I know that, but I don't care. Hit the like, everybody. That helps right out of the gate, no matter where you are, what channel you're on. It's the most troublesome thing you can do. Good trouble. And we have way too many clips to possibly even remotely digest. I'm convinced that after my absence, CSL, our dear Can't Stop Lying, is trying to bury me under a mountain of clippage. And it's not his fault. There's just too much shit. And I do mean shit. So let's try and get through some of this stuff. Somebody shot at Tim Pool's office or something like that. Thank you. Yes, for an avalanche. Somebody shot at Tim Pool's office, apparently, but I don't know what the details are of it quite yet. And, of course, they're turning it into everything. Apparently, someone was stalking Benny Johnson as well. The curious lack of details about the person and the people that may or may not be involved tends to make me think that this is part of the maggot civil war that's going on. People who are insufficiently loyal or seen to be members of the Mossad crowd or what have you, or quite frankly, it's just worthwhile for Russia or somebody to talk somebody into or gin them up into shooting at these folks or scaring them a little bit. Even if they're I wouldn't call it MK Ultra. I'd call it MK Extra. Extra zesty, MK Minima, MK Mini. Yeah, that's what it'd be. MK Mini 2.0 and Beta. Yeah, MK Beta. That's I don't know why it took me there. So, anyways, there is and the reason I think this is because there is a shit ton of overlapping. I do not know what's going on with Candace Owens' hair. I think she saw Wicked and was just like, sure, why not? But these are right-wing influencers and just plain lying about everything. This is a shocking revelation about Egyptian planes. We'll get there later. So there's this big back and forth It's so bad on the maggot civil war that check this thumbnail out. Just take this in. Fucking what the hell? This is Rusty Trombone in Candace Owens' kitchen talking about Turning Points USA and about Erica Kirk and Charlie Kirk, and I guess Erica Kirk being somebody or whatever. Anyways, it says Candace Owens' brutally honest take on Turning Points USA. This is where we've got to start, because if we're going to unravel the maggot civil war, this is in many ways the hinge point for a lot of it. Hit that like, share the show, do clips, things like that. There's a Venmo right behind my head. If you take a picture of it with your phone, you can buy me a cup of coffee or something like that to support the show. If you can't do any of that, sharing and doing all the free stuff is the best way to do it, and it's greatly appreciated. And I can't tell you guys how much your love and support and messages and all that stuff have warmed my heart during this time. And I want to say a special shout out to Mark Creamer and to Boston Brian and Mel for sending flowers to my dad's memorial thing on Friday. That was very sweet of you guys, and it was a lovely surprise. So then on we go. I have not had my mind boggled by a thumbnail that wasn't just a Benny Johnson piece of shit slapdash crapola job in forever. But what the fuck? Look at this just herd of monsters. Okay, here we go.
Fight, flight. Like, you know what I mean? I'm going to go run towards Charlie if he gets shot and jump down, or I'm going to like grab my kids, make sure they're safe and get out of here. But they were like doing selfie. I mean, like, is that weird to film yourself? Like, yeah, it's weird. So I'm not going to pretend it's not weird, like, because it matters. Like, was his life real?
This is all coming up, apparently. I don't know of people who were taking selfies while Charlie Kirk was bleeding out or something like that. This is the first I've heard of it. But maybe they didn't post them. Maybe right-wingers are just sharing themselves, sharing them amongst themselves, like on a Hegseth signal chat. They're like, bro, look who's bleeding out behind me. FOMO. Right.
And that thought troubles me more than anything else. Like, was Charlie Kirk's life real?
In all fairness, thinking seems to trouble her in general, so just pointing that out.
Is what I think I cried the hardest about. Like,
I would cry about this asshole not just zipping up his jacket in your house shirtless. I mean, he's literally going to the navel on this. Dude, you're not a fucking Kardashian at the Met. What the fuck are you doing?
Anything in his life real, because how are you not?
And also, what are they wearing? They're wearing is that the mics that they're wearing? It looks like a button. Like, I don't believe the Charlie story button.
Fighting for him. He fought for all of you. You all exist because of Charlie. And then he went to Sigmund Freud and said this, and Sigmund Freud by then was initiated into the Kabbalah, and he got literally the entire community came out against this guy. He ended up having a mental breakdown because he couldn't understand how everyone that he trusted.
I think it's great to start in the middle of like insane conspiracy chili, I guess it is, like stew, where just like bits of this and bits of that, and it all leads together, and it all makes burgoo. It just makes a big bowl of but if you put enough salt on it, you can eat it.
Was gaslighting him and doing all these things. But in that chapter, it speaks about how after he died, the very people that drove him crazy rushed to eulogize him. It's one of their tactics. They need to control the legacy, and it's a way for them to deal with their...
Yeah, the legacy. I don't actually care. I do think are the cameras always going to be here? Because it's going to be really hard for me to make a really uncomfortable move on you if we're just in the kitchen. This is part of my normal way of doing it, doing it. But the cameras kind of put me off. Could you make them go in the other room? And then it's just my word against yours. That's the way I like it.
Guilt. And so when I saw, because of my mindset, having studied Sigmund Freud...
Get down! The oven is set to blow!
But when I saw Bibi Rush It's very strange to me. It was just weird. You know, it was just like, what are we doing here? Like, you've got a lot going on. You're busy. You seem busy. Busy. And you're doing Fox News hits and another, like, it just, to people, looked a little suspicious, okay? And so I think that people are now trying to think this is like the cult of Candace. No, I'm actually just addressing what everybody's feeling and seeing.
Yeah, that's true. That's why everyone who watches your shit is either totally in with you on it because they're nuts too, completely against it because they're on allegedly your side, but you're fucking with this whole narrative and making up crazy shit, or we hate your politics and we're just kind of enjoying this from the side. But this idea that suddenly she's the one saying what everyone is thinking, this is some Alex Jones level delusional self-image.
And you're like, okay, I'm not crazy. Like, we're all thinking this is kind of...
That's true. Will there be snacks or...
weird, right? Like, that's not normal.
Exactly.
And
why do you have 2 toy cars on the table?
then they're like, how dare anybody voice how the majority of people around the world are feeling about
No.
it's not feeling organic, the grief not seeming organic from Turning Point USA executives. I felt that way too.
I can
right?
give you another thing on that, is that when I was in the middle of when I said that in the UK, don't vote, it's pointless. It's one party governs it anyway, right? When I said that, there was like so much energy and so much power around it. I couldn't believe it. And this was it's 2015, so it was an earlier incarnation of the online space. And when I knew I'd hit a nerve,
because of your reach and how fucked up that is to say. It's like I'd walked into this sorority house and beat a bunch of women to death, and then I go into a courtroom, everyone's screaming. I was like, I must have hit a nerve, when I tricked all those people into investing into my Ponzi scheme, and then ran off with the money. Like, everybody was like, there was so much energy around that. I knew I'd hit a nerve, as Bernie Madoff said.
And said things, and people were like, yeah, that's what I feel, that's what we feel, we all feel that. The mistake I made was, yes, I am important. That's how I interpreted that information. And I mustn't do that again, because it's going to keep happening.
Yeah.
I think this is what I'm taking from this. I think it's very important that we create alliances in Christ and under his blood. And
Jesus, no pun intended. Like, reminder, this is a man who is facing 4 rape charges in 2 different countries. Sounds an awful lot like the guy who finds Jesus on the way to court, as much as the guy who finds Jesus right before his parole hearing. You notice how it times out that way a lot?
Under his blood and by his name. I think that's super.
Which means what? Which means what? I mean, you can repeat the phrases, but what does that mean? What meaning does it actually have to you? Blood meaning the sacrifice or the sacrament? Blood meaning the idea that you are washed in the blood of the Lamb and his death cleansed you of your sin, and therefore you are free because of the blood of him instead of his sacrifice, which is the blood is the placeholder on it, or because you believe that there's some sort of lineage aspect of this, that those who follow him are part of him, whatever.
And I think it's very important that individually we don't fall into the OG sin of disobedience, whether it's Eve disobedience or Lucifer disobedience of thinking you can run your own circuit, or Eve disobedience of, so that was curiosity. That was curiosity. Hey, maybe the apples, maybe we can't trust God.
Right.
So I reckon whatever it is in us, you don't have homosexuality. I don't have homosexuality, however you want to frame that. If you want to take a Christian purview, and we are Christians, so we will. But what we do have, you have inquiry and tenacity and constant engagement and jabbing, which is a great and unbelievable bold power, and you're absolutely phenomenal, incredible.
Yeah, it's so great, whoever. And if you stay in a room much longer with your weirdly coffee from someplace else, even though we're in allegedly a kitchen, I'm going to do to my pants what I've done to my jacket.
Awesome, just add that. And I have self-interest. I fall into sort of narcissism. I get very interested in me.
Did you find yourself scared though, like considering okay, you either saw yourself, as I think we all did, of this could have happened to me, but what was scarier, what happened to him or what happened after? You know what I mean? Like,
believe
I'm
that.
like, are you guys, like, you're my friends, right? You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna, if this happens and there's questions.
Yeah, when it happens to you, you don't get the chance to ask those questions. That's when because you're dead, you see. And see, the death being, it would be a lot more upsetting to survive it and have the problems because you still have the capacity to be upset because you are not dead. There are very few grumpy corpses. Just there might be one, but fuck me.
You're gonna go hard, right? Like, and
You don't tempt him.
I think that also made people uncomfortable because he gave so much to Trump, right? And Trump is the most, ostensibly the most powerful man, and Trump will demand an investigation into like who said like he looked like he was balding in a picture, right? Like vain things. And it's like, this kid killed himself for years to get you elected, and he was just like, oh, just gonna post a photo of him with an Israeli flag, loved ya, gives this kind of like not fulfilling or substance speech rather.
Does anyone have the sudden desire for popcorn? Anybody suddenly like, I'm a just want some popcorn really bad right now? I mean, it's reasonable. It's I can, yeah.
And I think that disturbed me even more. It was like not even what happened to him. It was like the aftermath of what happened to him, where I was like expecting, like I said, genuinely, like I was expecting like we're all getting the old band back together and it's going to be me and Trump and like, and I'm going to have the FBI help me investigate this. And we're going to figure out what happened to my friend. And it was like, Candace is the enemy for asking questions. And I think that scares me and scares the public more because, as I said, it kind of signals that that Charlie's life could have been the Truman Show. That terrifies me more, that nothing in your life is real. We actually had the...
What did they have to edit out there? So Charlie's life was the Truman Show, so he wasn't telling the truth either, and they killed him just for this play acting, sacrificial lamb kind of thing, or as a distraction for a bigger, we're all living in this kind of fake movie that they've set up. And this goes, I mean, if you believe that there's no difference between the parties, for example, or it doesn't matter who you elect, you also have to tacitly believe that there's no difference in any other person you come into contact with, and that eventually us versus them will boil down to me versus them, meaning that everyone else is either them or aligned with them. That there is no off-ramp to this kind of paranoia, as you can see. I mean, look at the Owen Schroyer fucking Alex Jones shit. You get me?
Experienced. We were the ones that were living in reality, and then they were trying to make it like a mass psychotic event to tell us that like what you're feeling is these are his best friends. I'm like, okay, but like two reactions, right? Fight, flight. Like, you know what I mean? I'm gonna go run towards Charlie if he gets shot and jump down, or I'm gonna like grab my kids, make sure they're safe, and get out of here. But they were like doing selfie. I mean, like, is that weird to film yourself? Like, yeah, it's weird. So I'm not gonna pretend it's not weird, like, because it matters. Like, was his life real? And that thought troubles me more than anything else. Like, was Charlie Kirk's life real? Is what I.
Wow. Yes, yeah, I don't want to, spoiler alert, yes, it was real, and he's really dead. So he was really alive at one point, and he's really dead now. And whether he surrounded himself with sycophantic yes-man comers and Machiavellian types is really what you're asking, but you're asking it with the depth of understanding of, an 8-year-old.
Think I cried the hardest about. Like, was anything in his life real? Because how are you not fighting for him? He fought for all of you. You all exist because of Charlie. This was his company. You know what I mean? But you know what happened? His company got bigger than him. And that's why my team is small. That's why we're in a basement. That's why I don't want...
Sorry, you don't hire more employees because you're afraid that eventually they will form a grand conspiracy to snuff you in front of 3,000 college kids? What the fuck? Maybe you have a small organization because very few people can stand to work for you very long.
I don't like Candace's media empire. This is not a media. This is what they're calling a media empire, by the way. It's being run by toddlers, just so you know.
I love it.
You know, it's like you have.
Who's talking in the background? Like, I love it. Or are we just hearing Russell Brand's id that happens to be a dude from Virginia?
To have real substance in your life. And
do you like gambling?
Oh, shit. Get the fuck out of here. You like gambling and shit like that? Polymarket, bet on the world, make money, and pretend it's all lies.
Versus Jedi. Work it out for yourselves using Polymarket. See you later, baby.
I mean, look, Erica thing is like you can, there's one of the, you got to be at some level terrified, right? So it's like, it's one of two things.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to live. I think it would all help us. Great, thanks. Good advice. What was your name again? Candy? Candy Cane, ladies and gentlemen. Candy Corn. Sorry, I missed. Owens. Anyways, you want to live in a perpetual state of terrorized either by your own internal dialogue or perceived threats. I think that's why be cautious or on a normal level when you can be in a paralyzed with panic.
The greatest evil that ever happened, or she's terrified and she's in this position. And I think the mistake they made, and I've said on my podcast, she should have never become the CEO and chairman overnight. Because now when people have questions, you got to answer them, right? You're not just a grieving widow, which there has to be respectability for and space and allowing her to be a mother. But you very quickly decided that you were equipped to be Charlie. Well, guess what? That's going to be a trial by fire, okay? Charlie had to go through it. It's painful. The public's going to go through every layer of your life. They're going to be like, I still read things about myself. I find them sometimes to be convincing. I'll be so down far the rabbit hole where I'm like, wait, Charlie, I'm like, is my husband sent to me from the Rothschilds? Like, I'm like,
see what I mean? Like, there is no stopping it. And I got news for you. If she's said no to herself, sorry, I know you saw that. Thank you, Andrea. If they're available, that would be wonderful. Although it's kind of a breaking story, so maybe Friday with Rob or something, maybe that kind of thing. Maybe they could either get on together or one of them first hour or something like that. We'll work it out. It's okay, but that's a thought. Anyways, so Candace Owens, this is how small our team is here. It's just me talking to Andrea online and on the air, in the Discord. This kind of paranoia is never ending. You can never claw yourself free of it without a complete memory wipe of like, oh fuck, I was like a drug addict waking up from a stupor or detoxing on some massive fucking level. And lovely, Fukel sang for Monday the 15th is wonderful. Very excited. Driftglass and Blue Gal for Wednesday, and Philip as well. Great. Love it. It's going to be a big week. Coming back, coming in hard and fast, as it were. All right. But this paranoia she's feeling isn't, it's just going to spiral.
Answer this question. He's like, get off of Instagram. Okay, but I mean, there's constantly a public inquiry into every part of her life because they do not believe that me and Charlie met that night. They do not believe that story. I mean, then me and George met that night. I'm like, but that's really how it happened, And so people go, it's not fair. You can't do what we call the post-school shooting thing, which is like a school shooting is such a tragic event. And then suddenly they're like, you have to listen to David Hogg and you can't question David Hogg. It's like, but I got effing questions for David Hogg, right? If you're now going to say that I have to accept him as a political leader, I'm sorry this tragedy happened to you, it's fair for me to say, David Hogg, I have, why are you on CNN? And I think that's...
Okay, first of all, what the fuck are you talking about? The reason he's on CNN is because after he was in a school shooting where he almost died, he became a political activist, and his political activism formed into an actual movement, very much like, why the fuck should I have to give a goddamn what Charlie thinks? It doesn't mean he doesn't have the right to be on CNN. If they make enough of a wave, that's why they would ask them questions. The weird part is, what part has she ever played in something severe like this where she's been close to it? It's not like she was present at Charlie Kirk's assassination or present when Trump was, shot nicked in the ear by a piece of glass from his teleprompter. most of the shit she cares about, she's never been anywhere materially close to it. So why would she? Certainly, David Hogg is more of a witness to the reality of a school shooting than Candace Owens is to any fucking thing that she talks about on her show. Right? So, nobody's stopping her from questioning David Hogg. We just look at her like she's fucking stupid. That's not stopping you. That's not a violation of your freedom of speech. It's not scare tactics. It's not a fucking cabal of people trying to stop you from asking the question. I just want to ask the question. We're all recognizing a stupid question when we hear it.
Happening, and so people are feeling like, hey, it's not fair to ask her any questions because her husband just died. Okay, but they should have put in place an interim CEO. Like, that's what any company would do. You would just say, for a couple of months, we got to figure things out. The COO is going to become the CEO, and give everybody time to grieve and kind of address the fact that this is like a new company.
Yeah, but most companies actually produce something. This is a cult. TPUSA is a messaging cult for the right wing. What difference would it make if the COO became the CEO? Were they going to meet product launch deadlines? The fuck else do they do materially other than the big TPUSA gathering twice a year or whatever it is, or 3, or maybe they do it every quarter. I don't give a shit. And then the stuff that he did. So somebody else is going to go out and do it in his stead. This makes it's like there is no product. It's a messaging organization. So, like, what will carry it forward is someone who's indicative of the message. The trad wife of the guy who was killed. It's all stupid. The whole organization is ridiculous. But, I mean, honestly.
And like, we've got to figure things out without the head of the company, So I think they made a managerial error.
With our
Yeah, that's how I would sum up her criticisms of the story around Charlie Kirk's death. She just has a problem. There was a managerial error.
And analytics, do you agree that we can't assume malevolence where ineptitude will do?
100%.
Like in a kind of innocent till proven guilty way, that it, like...
No, she does not.
I tell you why, I just saw, like, after I'd seen probably, I'm assuming something that... about her, the way she was embracing JD Vance, right? I sort of saw her on, I think, Megyn Kelly, and I swear I didn't even stop the swipe to watch it, but the way that she just went, she was saying to Megyn Kelly, like, oh my, even the way that I had, like, it was like she was having her version of what you're saying it's like when people say, did the Rothschilds send you George? Or what I feel like it's like when people go, you've got 33 touted on your list, you must have been doing shit with Kerry. So I, like, because of the position you're in, I believe we have to use our discernment that we have to apply when we read stuff about ourselves to them. I remember really early on, there's a Chelsea footballer, Frank Lampard. I was like reading stories about myself, like in the Sun newspaper, when it was print newspaper day, like Russell Brand womanizer threesome, and then like probably saying something mean about me. And like, oh, what a lot of filthy bullshit. And then the next page was Frank Lampard, this footballer, and I was like, yeah, fuck Frank Lampard. Like I believed that stuff because it was convenient.
And that's why I said it's like that's what.
Yeah. What Russell just pointed out was that the reporting about him being a scumbag was true. And the only reason he had an aversion to it was being outed by a newspaper.
And that's why I didn't jump on this, like the hug and like it's all that just seems ridiculous. But I also don't think it's ridiculous because we go through it every day. So that's just part of you're now going to be a public figure. You were a wife.
Right. Since people attack you for and supplant every part of your life with paranoid theories and conspiracy theories, then it's completely reasonable to do it to her because, she has it coming because your husband was shot. I mean, what do you expect, lady?
Now you're a public figure. Welcome to the club. You know what I mean? Like, and she's got to deal with it.
Yeah.
She can't be.
Fuck, just say that to her face. You should have done it when she was on stage at the memorial, just like with a bullhorn.
Like, well, sympathy voted in. We can talk about Russell's tattoos and Kansas husbands, but we can't talk about Erica. It's like, that's how they made
husbands. She pluralized that. Put a pin in that for later.
Mistake of instantly saying she's going to take over Turning Point. So it's all is fair in love and war is what I mean. It's like that if you're going to be in that position, everyone goes through it. You're going through it. I'm going through it every day. That's what it means to be. It's the downsides of fame. Like they're going to go through every area of your life. So I think, it's not fair, but it's fair. Do you know what I mean? Like everyone does it. It's just a part of being in the public eye. Like everything. I mean, I could do my hands like this and they'll be like, it's a sign that she's sending. Yeah. Like I literally when
you do that, dipshit. He does that. Holy fuck. Obama was doing the Illuminati vagina until they realized Trump does it more than anyone. And it's obviously a hand nunt, but that's not the important thing.
I think I do this. Mm-hmm. And they caught me doing this, and then they said it was like the rock symbol or whatever. What do they say the symbol is? Like
Illuminati. That's Illuminati.
Yeah, they say that I was doing Illuminati. So I had to stop this habit of whenever I'm thinking, whenever I think I do this,
See, Russell just did it, so they can go, oh, see, they're joking with us. They toy with us. Glenn Beck even tells stories about how they make the celebrities mock us to our face, and then right-wingers do it, and they're like, what is this? I didn't even know what this is, and they're like, see, I told you, they're fucking with us. He's doing it while he says he doesn't even know what it is, just to fucking, God damn it, I do it. This is so good.
On my shot, and
Jesus.
And then so someone caught me doing that in this thing, and they were like, "She's doing the Illuminati." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
I say that's conspiracy theory, Nazi salute. Like
exactly.
If you wave at someone,
like, hey.
only wave at, don't wave.
Right, exactly.
Careful, you're anti-Semite.
Here's okay.
Thanks for watching the video.
Wow, they finally again. I think it's good that they ended on absolving themselves of being able to Nazi salute whenever they want because they can just say they were waving. So good. It's the laundress mats. It's the laundress mats. Okay, so I don't know what this plain lying thing about it is, but we'll hold on. Where is it? Let's go. Yeah. So Tim Pool again was shot at. Or allegedly, somebody shot at his building. Now, where they are, it could have been somebody shooting at somebody else and whatever, but he's turned it into a big thing. I don't know if it is. Find out. If it is, don't go, and anybody cares what I think about it, don't shoot at people's houses. What the fuck are you doing? Right? I'm against all of that. It's pretty easy. It's so easy being consistent about being against political violence. And maybe it's because so many of the sort of people in the subset of subset of the subset of the subset of humans that are online and are creators in this space that cover politics, that so many of them have shrivel dick syndrome where they have to be, sell this macho bullshit to try and convince themselves that they're not complete dweebs, that they view everything else as like, this means war. And so that they have to use the fight language all the time and gin up that kind of fear in their enemies. When in real and people like Sebastian Gorka, playing what sounds like a Metallica riff on the beginning of his show. Like, get the fuck out of here. You don't listen to that kind of music. You never would, and you're a complete weenie. Just lean into it. Lean into being a complete dweeb. Now, speaking of complete dweeb, I think we have a double shot here. Benny Johnson back with his completely predictable, I would say, overdone thumbnails. Everybody in his thing is yelling, and they either put the tears in after the fact or whatever. Tim Pool nukes Candace. Finally snaps, goes nuclear on Candace Owens over Charlie Kirk murder, and calls her a piece of shit.
What's up, guys? Benny. You knew that this day would come, and now all institutions are pushing back against Candace Owens.
All of them? Well, congratulations, Rusty Trombone. You're not an institution.
Turning Point USA, all of the staff of the Charlie Kirk Show, Erica Kirk with rumors of a lawsuit.
You mean all those different organizations that are exactly the same organization?
And Tim Pool. It's getting ugly out there. Let's cover it ladies and gentlemen. Candace Owens sort of breaking the internet with this one 2 days ago, seen by 15 million people, saying that she has...
By the way, if you want, just put your feet up. You're going to enjoy this. It's South Park's Megaworldwiide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. This is... there will never be enough popcorn.
Now, all of the evidence to prove that the leadership of Turning Point USA were involved and betrayed Charlie Kirk to the tune of his murder. I'm making a personal plea to every well-meaning person who donated to this godforsaken organization to request a refund, she says. I mean, it's quite an allegation there. So please, provide the evidence. Provide the evidence, says Turning Point USA. Here's Charlie's team. Charlie's team now challenging Candace Owens to bring the receipts on a live feed, saying we're going to do a live feed at 2 p.m. local time.
You do realize that we don't have to have skin in either side of this, which in the modern political divisions that happen around, this is kind of a nice thing to, like, when you're sitting there, you're like, oh, it's like going to a game where you don't like either team, and if whichever one wins, you want your team can beat them, so you're just like, fight amongst yourselves, you silly people. So, yeah.
In Phoenix, 4 p.m. Eastern on Monday, December 15th. Charlie's friends will be there, and they'll respond to every single statement or claim made by Candace Owens with their own receipts to prove, well, their side of the story. So, where's Candace going to be? She's invited to be live streaming live. She said she would be there live. She said she accepts completely, and, well, lock in. I think this would be a positive thing. And then she backed out, kind of. She said she can't make it work in person, so she'll be happy to join digitally any day. Again, I still hope that it happens. Tim Pool responded to that viral post saying that she now has all the evidence she needs by saying this: I've received information this morning to put the final pieces together. I can now say with full confidence that Charlie Kirk was betrayed by Candace Owens, some of the very people who claim to be his friend. Yes, I'll be naming names. And I'll be making a personal plea to every well-meaning person who donated this organization to say thank you. You were lied to, and Candace knew.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, he did a play on her shit post, but there's no material inference that they don't donate to her or any of that kind of stuff, so it's not like she has a competing organization. So why am I worried about this? I don't even need to work this out. It's a shit show. Let it be a shit show.
So this is simple saying, prove the counterfactual. It's very easy to go out and make these claims if you don't have the evidence. And if you don't have the evidence, then you can go and get a lot of clicks and get a lot of people like seeing what you're doing. You could have the #1 podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But
that takes effort, I would think. And perhaps her being, quote unquote, the #1 podcast in your, media river, whatever bullshit, vein of the polling or ratings that you're talking about. I don't even know that that's true, but whatever. Yeah, she can have that. That takes work. And so the value of, the criticisms that she puts forward have weight because of her fame in this circumstance.
You never have to actually present your evidence, then what you're doing is rage bait.
Right, which is, that's like Benny going, that's my fucking job. Although I gotta say, he's a little too dweeby to like entice rage out of anyone. Honestly, that's one of the problems Benny Johnson, that's the glass ceiling on the Benny Johnson show, is that it is so like vanilla, and I mean that not vanilla, plain potatoes. It is boiled potato with no flavoring, no salt, just a plain boiled potato, disguising itself as a baked potato with all the trimmings. He's convinced he is. Is that a terrible analogy? I think it is. This
is the point that Tim has been making.
Don't care.
About Candace. Now, they got in a little bit of a spat here, where Candace said that Tim accused her of using...
Which I support, by the way, the two of them spatting.
Bots. We've taken $0 from investors. I've never used a bot. Never spent a single dollar on advertising. After my highly publicized firing, we made a conscious decision to come back truly solo. We may actually take it as a major compliment that people think otherwise. Tim Pool saying, we never said you use bots. It's a fake post. We were talking about how Twitch having bot problem.
Yeah. This is like an argument that happens in the corner of a bar where everybody's just like, what the fuck is wrong with them? I don't know. They've been talking for like 2 hours and no, it's not going anywhere.
And how people boost their shows. I've consistently explained that your show is appealing to larger audiences and women as it is dramatic and emotional.
Unlike Benny Johnson's, which is neither.
Candace Owens responding, hey, Tim, you might not be...
Have you ever thought of doing staged readings, Benny? I mean, with this level of commitment, of excitement, the keen, the cunning, the instinct, the dynamism, the drama, being able to just like seize the energy and the emotions in the words and extol them. Like maybe this is you take this on the road, like the Mangina monologues.
Aware of this, but the amount of time you're dedicating to me reacting to my show is coming across as emotional and dramatic. Well, that kicked something off. That is for sure. Because in light of the Turning Point USA pushback on Candace, and Tim Pool is now, again, going extremely hard in the paint and went scorched earth on Tim Casa IRL last night. In the sociopath influencer world, there's no amount of money that will ever, never be worth it. That's Candace Owens' world.
That will ever, never be worth it? Or never, ever? Ever. I'm going to go with ever, never. That's the way he read it. Sure.
Publishing text, out of context posts, attempting to eviscerate Charlie's legacy seems to be worth every single penny to Candace. So Tim Pool is getting plaudits for this, responding to Candace, going directly at Candace. And then last night's show dropped. She is a effing scumbag, and it's getting worse every single day. We're going to lose midterms because of Candace Owens and her army of influencers who want to burn TV.
Well, I mean, don't forget the affordability hoax. I mean, Democrats worked very hard on that. Pretending to make people pretend to care about how much shit costs. You think that's easy? You think making people actually have to go to a grocery store to buy food to recognize the prices are higher? That you no respect for hard work.
USA to the ground and divide and break up the MAGA coalition. Here, ladies and gentlemen, is Tim Pool.
If the Republicans lose in the midterms, I believe that Candace Owens is wholly responsible.
Yes, not Trump's economic policy, his obvious brain turning to tapioca, his self-congratulatory gold leafing of the entire White House and building a ballroom with this let them eat groceries attitude.
She is one
quality audio there, guys.
the biggest podcasts on the right doing everything to go to war with the organization that helped get Trump elected. Turning Point specifically was going out and registering people to vote. Without Charlie, it's in trouble. Turning Point needs to be able to go out and rally young people and register.
They can't?
Them to vote. And she's doing everything she can to destroy that. And that is going to...
Why is she doing that? Why is she doing everything she can to destroy it? She just did she always hate it and she just decided now's my chance? Or... I mean, I'm not defending why she's doing it, but the why should factor in, right? Like, she's not just doing it because she hates those letters in that way. It's not like she, hates some of the guests or some shit like that in general, like, or that they snubbed her. Maybe maybe she's mad because they didn't invite her. What's the reasoning, Dimpool? What is it? She happens to think the entire organization murdered Charlie Kirk. You could say she's deluded, which I believe she is. You could say she's a loudmouth and she's full of shit, which I also agree with. But the idea that she's trying to lose the midterms or trying to be a political traitor in this, when she's literally, because she's fucking nuts, responding to the death of Charlie Kirk with like conspiratorial lockjaw.
It's going to rip out the coffers on the right. There is no organization like Turning Point that exists anywhere else.
Sorry, I'm going to pleasure myself with the idea of them being completely fucked next year. All right, I'm fine.
That has the resources and the reach. And without Charlie, I'm not sure that they can make it. But I can tell you this, Candace lighting a Molotov and throwing it through the window is not helping. And it's the most demoralizing thing ever.
So by the way, does anybody think maybe this is tied to the beefing between him and Candace is tied to the shooting that happened at the Timcast offices? Chat room, has there been, is Benny Jensen on the side of this argument or others as to who is wrong in the interaction? Okay, he's definitely anti Candace Owens for some of the reasons, but he's so milquetoast that he has it seems like it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell what he cares about because he just seems kind of like he's blowing everything off. Okay, so this is, so 3 days ago was that show. The next day is when somebody shot at his property. Let's see. Yeah, so this is allegedly what happened the next day. So, shock attack. Gunman opens fire at home of right-wing podcaster Tim Pool days after Charlie Kirk assassination comments. The day after. Comes out days after he spoke out about the assassination of Charlie Kirk and conspiracies at Turning Points USA. Poole has said on social media his house was shot at. No one was injured in the shooting. Commentators with over 1.5 million followers confirmed, though it is not clear if the members of his family were there at the time. Our security team is reviewing the incident. We'll be relaying the report to appropriate law enforcement. This is the price we pay for speaking out against evil, which I guess he means that what he said about Candace Owens is why somebody shot at his place, or that it was Candace herself. It's unknown if Poole or his family were at home at the time. Based in West Virginia. Mag supporter and Marjorie Taylor Greene said something. Everyone must stand together against this type of hate. Blah blah blah. I don't. Let's see. I don't know that they have. He mocked Trump's chronic venous insufficiency diagnosis, unconvinced by the bruising on his hand. Do you believe that? The handshake hypothesis. Young man asked if his former pal and controversial podcaster Candace Owens had gone into hiding after uncovering an assassination plot. Owens believes Israel and France. Okay, blah, blah. After Thanksgiving break, she came back online, alleging Kirk had been betrayed by the leadership of Turning Points USA. She claimed the same French-connected interests were behind Kirk's killing, were also plotting her assassination. Poole said her contacts, she crossed the line when she said that Turning Point betrayed Charlie and asked for a refund from this godforsaken organization. That they're tracing this to, which is fucking, I don't know. Congratulations, guys. You played yourself. So the idea is that someone shot at his house, not because liberals or some rando Tyler Robinson wannabe is just getting ginned up and it's time to, clean the hate off the airwaves or some bullshit. It's because the right-wing civil war is turning incivil. It's ratcheting up to actual gunfire. Fuck, that's magic. So, where were we on this one? Yeah. So this is so we'll finish out this 1 second. So good. So good.
Additionally, all of the cowards on the right who are too scared to say anything about her because she tweets at me talking or whatever, and then a bunch of people come and flood our chat. I could give a single flying You can come and you can burn everything I have to the ground, and I will happily live in a van down by the river. I don't care to be number one. I don't need to be number one. What I care about is what is true.
Well, that's good, because that's not on the table.
True, and what will help this country and what works. And she is a scumbag, okay? And she's getting worse every day. And she crossed the line. She continually crosses the line every day, insinuating that Turning Point literally killed the guy who made them all rich. And I hear this in the streets, and at a certain point, I'm like, holy shit, we're gonna lose the midterms.
Yeah, sorry, every time somebody says that Republicans are gonna lose the midterms, I just automatically start applauding. So it's a tick that I have. I don't know where I picked it up, but
We're going to lose the midterms, then we're going to lose in 2028, and it's because she's a piece of shit.
Tim then goes into
does he explain in that clip why he gets why his uncensored clip on X is censored on your show, other than you're a milquetoast dweeb with no emotional connection to anything, except, I guess, your own ego gratification.
Sort of an evidentiary outlay of how Candace Owens has become more unhinged, in his opinion. Here you go.
What is the purpose of intentionally fanning the flames for 3 endless months of just nonstop retard Candace?
Well, I will say that, I wouldn't use the word you're using, but descriptively, I understand your criticisms of what she's been pumping out for the last 3 months. But the reasoning is because she actually believes it, you dumb motherfucker. Because Trump supporters have a fucking gap in their thinking that isn't there biologically or genetically. It's not incurable, but they put a fucking fence around it and they go, in this field, nothing shall grow. This is how I block out, this is where I put all the thoughts that are contradictory, that he's going to take down the cabal of pedophiles, and yet he was Jeffrey Epstein's buddy for 25 fucking years. They put all those thoughts that will throw a monkey wrench into their money-making scheme or their show or slow their roll, and they all have that gap. And everybody, some of you have it in different fucking places.
Holy crap. Initially in the beginning, she brought up some interesting things. New photos had emerged, and I said, wow, I even said this to Andrew Colvett at Turning Point at the beginning of October. Now she's at the point where it is video after video where she's saying it's an inside job. She's saying, there's a video of the dude, Mikey McCoy, grabbing his phone and making a phone call, and she's acting like that's weird. And then you get this other guy who's claiming that the business is a parking lot. Well, he full well knows businesses can be registered anywhere. To be fair, it's not only just Candace and saying what she's saying. It is all of these people who.
Yes, I'm glad she's not alone in this. I mean, she clearly is in her own head, because that's how paranoia works. But I'm glad she's got fellow travelers.
Are like piranhas ripping the right to shreds.
Hooray! Hold on 1 second. I think that deserves, yeah. Anyways, you were saying?
And you know what? A lot of cowards on the right being unwilling to say anything about it.
And then I think Tim does a really good job here.
Also, that wasn't evidentiary, Benny, you dipshit. There wasn't evidence in that. It was just a continuation of his diatribe against her, you dumb motherfucker. He didn't go through her talking points about the photos and any of that stuff and break any of it down and go, that's not actually how it works. He just disagreed with her characterization of stuff. He didn't answer why her characterization was false. He's just like, she points to this guy making a phone call and thinks that's weird. And you're basically like, it's not weird. That's not evidence. Just, putting a pin in the dopiness of Benny in general.
Saying that Democrats are going to exploit the division. And this is just a matter of fact.
I intend to. I mean, I guilty as charged. Guilty as charged.
Democrats are political animals, and
bet your ass.
they will see the weaknesses here, and they'll use it as an opportunity. I think this, quite frankly, about a lot of people that are tearing at the MAGA or America First agenda.
I am not tearing at the MAGA First agenda. None of that stuff. I am simply, when I see cracks in the foundation, walking up to it, sticking in a crowbar, and wiggling it a little, I'm just testing it. I want to make sure your foundation is sound. So, dink, That
it is an opportunity, either an op by the left or an...
Yeah, that's an op by the left. We not only got Charlie Kirk killed, allegedly, but we're tricking Candace Owens into convincing other maggots that Turning Points USA is behind it. Do you know how exhausting it is to have to go all the way to Candace Owens' house at something where I don't know lane in some city, USA, 84512, and climb up, the hill that she lives on and shimmy up a tree, and then, wedge her window to her bedroom open in the middle of the night and whisper plot points from 80s action films in the deepest whisper I can possibly muster, week after week, to get it to take?
Opportunity simply to destroy the winning coalition in this country that won 7 swing states and the popular vote. Here we go.
But what I think is likely to start occurring now is the grifter right is cannibalizing itself.
This is good stuff. Chat room, I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. This is, yeah. Couldn't happen to a nicer bunch.
You are going to see the right now move from a populist base more to a neocon base.
Too late?
Democrats are going to go to war internally over the far left, and you'll see the emergence now of these deciding to win types, which, like Stephen A. Smith, will start agreeing with people like me and Joe Rogan. And they're going to try and win back the ground, and they're going to utilize the absurdity, psycho-reality of Candace Owens to rip people from the right so that Democrats can start winning again. And
I don't, like, and?
that is the reality the right has to contend with. Conservatives had a coalition. Charlie helped build it. Disaffected liberals came on board. People like Candace are intentionally burning it to the ground.
Again,
Stephen A. Smith is coming out. Bill Maher even now coming out more reasonably. The Democrats are going to reemerge. Those that sold their souls for woke and to COVID are going to lose out, and they're going to retire. The AOC types, you're going to see her desperately try to moderate, but we're going to see in these swing districts, they're going to try. Now, that being said, hyperpolarization, as I've already described, may affect New York and Los Angeles and Chicago, so we will see it. Maybe it all just gets ripped apart anyway, and you end up with 15 different factions all fighting for power in the federal government.
Tim getting some praise, certainly here online for this. Tim Pool's right about Candace Owens. She's not helping the country. She's damaging the right. Her behavior is helping Democrats. She just postured in front of millions. She's responding to Turning Point announcing, saying you could pick the time.
Hey, asshole. Who fucking cares? You have a show. React to what he just said. Why are you reading other people's reactions to his reaction to something she was reacting to? This is like Benny Johnson is the ass end of the right-wing human centipede. Like, he volunteered to be the final, the end piece on the human centipede.
The place, her exact words, but the moment they actually picked a place and time, suddenly it doesn't work for her. That shows she didn't actually mean it. It's performative. Ladies and gentlemen, Tim Pool goes off, calls out conservative influencers as cowards for not speaking up against her effort to derail the midterm. Tim Pool nails it.
God damn, this guy just flips through X stuff. Like, that's the whole show now? God damn.
Candace.
I'm sorry, is that, did you get Elon jizz in your throat?
And her fandas have done more to fracture and demoralize the conservative movement than anything. She explains exactly how it's unfolding, and it's shocking how people refuse to see it. Tim Pool rips Candace Owens.
Yeah, we all saw it. Why don't you just mention that why did... So what you say on your show only has meaning because other people also say it, or do you just go by what they fucking say? I can't do it. All the effort this dipshit puts into the opening of his show with his little AI overlay videos and his AI thumbnails. And this is the most, he's a fucking barnacle. It's embarrassing. Like, how are you not embarrassed by what you put out in terms of content at all? It's just weird. Now, somebody we haven't addressed, and by the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Please subscribe if you would, wherever you are. Just do it. Especially on the YouTube channel, Infotainment Wars. Give us a shot. It doesn't cost you anything. This is odd. Well, we'll see. Here's Ben Shapiro is trying trying out his acting chops for his own thumbnails, and this is allegedly somebody throwing hot pot of coffee at Trump. And it's titled, "This new attack on Trump is unreal."
Democrats, their big mistake, by the way, in Tennessee 7 is that they ran somebody who was really, really far to the left. If they had run a moderate in Tennessee 7, that margin is not 9 points. That margin is maybe 2 points or...
Yeah, I know. Guess what? Lesson gained, dummy.
3 points. They ran a bad candidate, and they kind of came close to pulling it off.
So even with a bad candidate, they shaved 12 points off of what Trump's win was last time, and he's never running again, you dumb motherfucker.
Why does this matter for Republicans? Because it means Republicans need to find an issue set that is popular with the American people. All right, it's time for some fast facts. Speaking of immigration, Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader, when I say Democrats may be catching on, they may be jettisoning some of their less popular views. Here was Hakeem Jeffries just yesterday saying that President Trump does get credit for shutting the southern border. When do you hear Democrats ever giving credit? There is strategery at work, gang.
And it is true that the polls show, in terms of the tactics used, that the majority, they don't like the tactics being used. But in terms of the border, securing the border, can you give President Trump any credit for securing the border? Because as you know, that was a big issue under the Biden administration when you had record border crossings, and those border crossings have gone down dramatically. Can you give him credit for that?
The border is secure. That's a good thing. It's happened on his watch. He wants to claim credit for it. Of course, he'll get credit for that. In terms of making sure that we actually deal with the issues that matter, including on immigration or beyond, there's a lot that is left to be desired.
Okay, so, again, pretty astonishing.
Right, because the border securing actions that Trump took have a lot more to do with the people not showing up than how people are handled once they do. And the border itself, all that stuff was in the border bill that was bipartisan. So that's not the shocking part. That's not, and again, if you want it handled well, the Biden border bill and the people that were, behind it, both on the left and the right, I guess in the, in the Democratic and Republican corners, that bill had securing the border as it stands, as it pretty much is right now. But again, I will point out that fentanyl prices and availability have not gone, the availability has not gone down and the price has not gone up. Because it was never about the border. It was always a lie in that regard. And that's why they're blowing up boats, allegedly, because they're trying to hide from the fact that everything they sold about who was coming across the southern border wasn't workers seeking a better life, by and large. It was terrorists and drug runners, and that makes up the majority of them. And every ICE raid where they, can wag one person who has a criminal history, every situation where they can show that allows their side to pepper everyone from that country or everyone of that color in the, and put them in the same corral. Believe the same thing about all of them.
Astonishing that Democrats have to acknowledge that Trump shut the border. They have to, and they should, because it takes the issue off the table for Republicans. Republicans, however, are looking to not allow that issue to get away from them. According to Breitbart, a bill to end federal benefits, including Medicaid, housing assistance, student financial aid, and food stamps for non-citizens, has now been introduced by Senator Tom Cotton in an effort to put American citizens first. The proposal was released Wednesday morning.
Yeah, okay. Non-citizens. Somebody who's a legal permanent resident, and you go through something like 2008, and then suddenly you have a bunch of folks that are not eligible because they're not citizens, but they are legal permanent residents. And then you got a bunch of them either having to, work under the table and basically create a criminal enterprise underneath it where they're working illegally when they shouldn't. And that includes working in, selling drugs or doing those, whatever you have to do to get by because you cannot get any kind of help, even though you intend to stay here and get back on your feet. But you're in a post-2008 moment or a post-COVID moment. You're not allowed to have those benefits while you live here. creates the higher chance that you will have to commit a crime, even if it's working illegally, just to get by. Getting another job that you don't have a specific visa for, just to make ends meet in a crash situation like that. And when Democrats will put together a bill to limit these kind of funds to people to make sure that they qualify, they are careful to make sure that these kind of people don't fall through the cracks, and we don't punish families who intend to ultimately become citizens, for example, who came here legally and are just waiting their turn. And because what this bill wants to do is paint everybody as an illegal alien, no matter what, that's here to steal your jobs and kill your family and force feed them fentanyl.
With the third-ranking Senate Republican writing in an authorization to denaturalize naturalized citizens who undermine domestic tranquility by participating in unlawful protests involving violence or property destruction, and to expand expedited removal authority. The bill also addresses concerns regarding Afghan.
By the way, that's already in there. I think the State Department and Immigration Services have the right to do that. Always have, because you take an oath, and if you violate that oath, then you can be denaturalized based on that. It just isn't done very often because we value freedom of speech. So we allow people who are on their way to becoming citizens to participate in our way of life, and that includes protest. That includes organizing and all those other things. Now, people who have come here temporarily have taken advantage of that, and that's the issue they need to deal with. But the idea that a naturalized citizen or someone who intends to stay here and have singular citizenship in the United States is by and large those are the problem people, is not the case. And so you've got Republicans who want to paint everybody who wants to be here legally with the same brush that people who sneak across the border.
Nationals living
people,
in the United States. If passed, the legislation would require mandatory revetting of nationals of Afghanistan and provide for automatic termination of TPS, that's temporary protected status. We'll get to more.
Yeah, but you don't have to do that because Trump already did it.
On this in a moment. First, picture this. You walk over to your computer, you pull up your entire browsing history, you hit print, and then you nail those pages to your front door for every neighbor to see.
I mean, it's an odd way to pick people up and get more dates in the neighborhood. I understand that, but it seems like a good strategy for me. All right, this is an ad. Whatever.
A strong anti-illegal immigration move and a strong move against naturalized citizens who are on welfare. People who have come here and taken advantage of the system.
No, that's not what you're doing. That's a lie. It is not about people who come here and take advantage of the system. The vast majority of people who are getting financial help and that kind of stuff that are non-citizens are here with asylum claims because they either cannot work or their status is so wavy that they can't get any long-term work. So they can only take short-term work that doesn't pay as well. And if they have a family, they can't make enough money with the jobs they're allowed to do to feed themselves and their children. If you want to give them a right to work, then it changes the equation. But if you're not going to, we're either going to have to support them or they're going to have to steal to eat. It's that simple. If they still got a chance at asylum and the place that they came from is dangerous and their chances of dying there are so high, the chance of getting caught shoplifting, who gives a shit? Compared to that, what are my choices here? Starve? The issue is not about and again, you'll notice it's about non-citizens. And that includes a lot of people, including people, by the way, that are temporary workers. The business they have is shutting down. There's a period of time where they're reopening over here, or there's another company that the workers that are here that have the right to work could go work for. And rather than sending them all home and having them all come back, which is very expensive, and you may lose those workers, you could give them assistance for a period of time, like unemployment insurance, a similar situation, so that they would pick up where they left off with the next job that they're waiting for. Or if it's seasonal and they go from one farm worker to the next, but there's a frost or something like that, and you don't need everybody fucking leaving the country and coming back all the time. It's a waste of fucking time and effort, and it's silly. So again, this is not about pass a bill that says illegal aliens can't get, your word, your phrase, illegal aliens can't get public assistance. And the the effort to deal with that on a federal level, the federal dollars that they actually get, people who are here undocumented without the right to work, the benefits that they get, you will spend more money debating and getting it through committee and passing the bill and getting it signed and having reporters come in and having them all drive across town to watch Trump sign it than goes out the door to those folks from a federal system. What states do with their tax dollars is a completely different conversation.
And this will be popular, right? If Republicans are looking for an issue set, the issue that most unifies by every poll the Republican base is the immigration issue, particularly criminal illegal immigrants, immigrants from countries that are not generally friendly to the United States, or areas of the world that have significant terror backgrounds. By the way, that's only going to be exacerbated by stories that seem to be emerging now every day of immigrants to the country from radical Muslim areas of the world who are importing that radicalism here. According to the New York Post, a Pakistani immigrant and
I'm sorry. You're citing the Post, I see.
Who are importing that radicalism here. According to the New York Post, a Pakistani immigrant and University of Delaware student was arrested with a cache of guns, ammo, and body armor, and a manifesto allegedly explaining plans.
What does he think he is? A white kid from Michigan?
To kill all and achieve martyrdom with a mass shooting on the school's campus. The shooter was arrested just before midnight, November 24th, after cops found him in his pickup truck in a park after hours and decided to search the car when he began acting suspiciously. Inside, they found a bunch of guns, a bunch of ammo.
That's the part they don't mind.
There's a pistol that fit into a kit that converted it into a semi-automatic rifle. They also found a notebook with handwritten notes detailing a plot to use the weapons to shoot up his former school's campus police department, including a map of the headquarters. It included phrases like kill all, martyrdom.
Yeah, you're right. I agree. It should be harder to get a gun in America. He wasn't here illegally, by the way. He's here on an education visa.
So, yeah, I think that this kind of immigration we probably...
Aren't you upset, though, that the tyrannical government stopped this, I guess, lawful gun owner, depending on where he got the guns and who he bought them from? I mean, if you're a real conservative, this should be really upsetting to you.
Don't need. And Republicans understand that. This is why, if Democrats are smart, they're going to move away from the anti-ICE position they've been taking. Right? So far, they're acknowledging that Trump is largely right on the southern border, but they're ripping on ICE. I'm not sure how much they can continue to rip on immigration and customs enforcement while ICE targets possible criminal illegal immigrants.
Because they are all in that targeting, they are being so slapdash by how they are being run and who they are hiring to join these groups that they are rounding up American citizens and women and children who clearly have no record. And it's really the fuck ICE crowd should be saying fuck Homan and fuck Trump, because it's how the organization is led, not that its existence, because there wasn't this problem under ICE under Biden, and yet the numbers of deportations were very sound. Yes? Bigger, actually. Same with Obama. They were calling him the deporter-in-chief, but it had nothing to do with using ICE for raids like this that were scooping up American citizens, denying people the right to counsel, that kind of stuff. That's not an ICE problem. That's a presidential administration problem. And that's a voter problem. That's our fucking problem. Like, the same people, the vast majority of the people who are showing up to protest ICE, I would say 80% of the people down there screaming at them didn't fucking vote last time. Feel free to at me.
It's not going to help if you have...
Does that click with anybody in the chat room, by the way? Because I find that, like, particularly annoying. That if you weren't yelling fuck ICE, I guess 2 years ago, or 10 years ago, 12 years ago, then it's not about ICE, is it? It's about who you voted to put in charge. And the fuckers that were, the Genocide Joe crowd that were marching around the DNC, I've called them out every time. The fuckers who were like, not voting for Kamala Harris because she's a woman of color or a woman at all. That's the problem in this situation. ICE is a fucking wind-up toy. It goes where you point it, and it keeps walking. It's leadership that matters. And if there's no difference between the fucking parties, then why didn't you have to storm around yelling fuck ICE 2 years ago? The numbers were high. I'll tell you why. Because they were run by people who gave a shit, who cared about human beings, and did the job that they were supposed to do. I would argue that that's part of the point. Getting you to go down and yell at fucking ICE? Like, even if there are people among them that think it's fucking awesome, there's a bunch of them that don't, but they'll lose their job and their pension and their future if they quit and there's not another job available. Like, they're doing all these fucking purity tests and everybody's like on pins and needles at the FBI and other places. For real. If you're not willing to fucking vote shame people who didn't vote for Harris or stood down, didn't vote at all, both when Trump, in 2016 and now, then just by saying fuck ICE, what you're talking to is a level of like political impotence screaming. That's what happens over at TYT. That's the advice you would get from places like TYT. Yep. Look at that. We think at the same time because there's a delay. Nice job, Faceplum. It's exactly what TYT does. Go fucking yell at ICE because it doesn't matter who's running things. It fucking well does. And they spent so much time shitting on Hillary and shitting on Obama and shitting on Biden and talking about what Trump does in such a pedestrian, weak way that shrugs off what he actually does. It's fucking lame. If you see ICE or somebody doing something specific or whatever, you have a responsibility to report it. You have a responsibility when the police do anything wrong, you have a responsibility to report it. But the problem is when you do, if it works its way up the chain and the person at the top of the chain is somebody like Donald Trump as opposed to somebody like Kamala Harris, that's where it dies. That's why the fuck ICE crowd doesn't impress me at all. I understand the sentiment, but it's a fucking waste of time. Stop allowing people to get into office that put these fuckheads in charge. When Donald Trump was running, he said this.
We're going to be appointing very pro-crime judges.
Among other things. And people were like, I don't know, it's the lesser of two evils. If you believe in the lesser of two evils fallacy, then what ICE is doing now versus what they were doing 2 years ago is the greater of two evils, but not by much. It's pathetically weak. It's short-sighted. It's being, and they're drawing you out into a field to make you look like you don't give a shit about the victims of crime, that you don't give a shit about, what the Constitution stands for. Democracy doesn't mean anything if you just let anybody in here and they can vote. Like, that's how they're doing it. By the way, none of the black bloc motherfuckers voted. Not a one. Do you think any of the people down in Portland or anywhere else, you think the people in the CHOP or the Chaz fucking voted? You kidding me? They abdicated who would run ICE a long time ago. You want to shame non-voters? Fine, fuck ICE. Again, ICE is carrying out the mission given to it by the person in charge. And ultimately, who put that person in charge? We have more Democrats registered than there are Republicans. So this is a choice Democrats and people on the far left made to guarantee that Donald Trump would be in power so that he could control ICE. Because that's what happened. That's who got to be in charge. So that's my excuse for vote shaming. And I'm not going to stop because, like, adults make adult choices because they recognize that, you know, as in the immortal words of Rush, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. Who does shame non-voters? I do. Especially if they voted sometimes. If they, you know, if you're a forever non-voter, then fuck off. But if you voted one time and then you didn't vote, this election, as if it was just like a coin toss, like, I don't know, it's like Bush Gore. I got news for you. If Al Gore was in charge when the Bin Laden determined to strike within the U.S. presidential daily brief came across his desk, he'd have read the fucking thing. So there's an argument that 9/11 never would have happened. But he's wooden and boring, and I don't know. Let's see. You're attacking people, attacking ICE by claiming they did not vote. On what basis do you make that claim? I'm not, by the way. I'm not saying that everybody who is upset at ICE or is attacking ICE didn't vote. I'm saying all the black bloc people in Portland and other places didn't vote. Anarchists and Antifa don't fucking vote. I mean, it doesn't even fucking chart. Period. But by the time you're saying fuck ICE, it's too late. And so where do you take responsibility? You want to fuck ICE as it stands right now? You eliminate the leadership. You guarantee that someone else is in charge and that people who actually give a shit are in oversight positions. That's how. Yelling fuck ICE isn't going to do dick, especially if Trump's in. Right? It's not going to, you can yell all you want. It's not going to put a stop to it. The only thing that will put a stop to it is changing the leadership. And that happens through voting. And the people who stood down and the voters that didn't turn out last time are the reason we're in this situation. For real. And by the way, yes, Antifa doesn't vote. The vast majority of the active Antifa crowd don't vote. It's like the youth vote. It's the same crowd. They just don't chart. Something like, I want to say 17% of them and that's only the periphery. And I don't mean the people who call themselves Antifa online because they're anti-fascist that are actually, 60 years old. It's not who we're talking about. I think Hal misspoke. I did not misspeak about Antifa not voting. The vast majority of the activist Antifa crowd that shows up at these things don't vote. There are people who show up at these things that do vote, but they're not dressed in black bloc and they're not waving the Antifa flag. They would call themselves that, but they're not going to the meetings and hanging out. It's a different thing entirely. The point being is that it didn't matter. You're not going to fuck ICE by yelling. You're not going to fuck ICE by blocking a driveway. You're not going to fuck ICE by throwing a cement block through a police car window. Never happened, never will. You want to fuck the version of ICE that you're talking about? Because again, it wasn't a problem when decent people were running the shop, is you put decent people in charge. You do your best to make sure that serious organizations have serious leadership. Does anybody really think that Kamala Harris would have ordered multiple strikes on Venezuelan fucking boats and insisted they double tap some survivors? For real. It's fucking bananas. Or that Biden, had he continued, would have done it. Or that Obama would have done it. Is anybody making that case? Not that they would have been the perfect candidate. That doesn't exist. We're human beings. But those people would still be alive. Just start there. What do you mean by black bloc ladies? Oh, those are the people who wear all black and cover their eyes, and they wear all their clothes are black. They wear combat clothes and they carry black backpacks, and they're the ones that show up and call themselves Antifa. They have Antifa flags and that kind of stuff. But their black bloc is like, so that nobody knows who they are or whatever. And again, I would argue that free speech and protest has only works when I can see you. And the problem with black bloc and that kind of stuff is that they can assume you're not even an American citizen. How do they know you're not a foreign national here to start fires? Nobody's making this. Yes, that's why, Phil. I'm saying it's an absurdity. The idea wouldn't cross their mind because it never would have happened. Because there is a difference. There is a difference between how Kamala Harris would have run things and how Donald Trump is running things. Period. And so the people who want to sell you this coin flip nonsense, like TYT, like Rusty Trombone, all the right-wingers who, once Trump started screwing them, started yelling about the fucking uniparty. Those people are the problem that I'm addressing right now. Obama drones, please. There were more civilian deaths from drone strikes in the first year of the first Trump administration than there were in all 8 years of Obama, because he had rules of engagement and he gave a shit. And they were dealing with very serious things, but they made sure they took as much care as they possibly could. And everybody went, ugh, Obama drone strikes. And in the first fucking year, there were as many under Trump as there were under 8 years of Obama. And the same thing started again. Trump came in and said, we're going to let the war fighters be war fighters and stuff, which means fuck civilians that happen to get in the way. Seriously. Democrat strategist told Kamala to softball the Republicans. They're incredibly out of touch. Yeah, it doesn't matter. She listened. That also doesn't matter. I don't care how much she softballed Republicans. That was to get the fucking independents over who, had been sold this idea that she was a fucking communist or nonsense. But it shouldn't have fooled any of us. If she softballed Republicans or seemed like reasonable and she'd be a president for everybody and we have some friends across the aisle or whatever, that's what you're supposed to fucking do. It's a democracy. But the idea that she would fucking be the same as Trump if she said something like that? The cops are black bloc, so it makes sense that others do the same. Well, they're not, though. Most cops aren't. You can see most cops' faces. We're not talking about ICE in particular, but I would say that in both those cases, it's interesting that people insist that ICE show their faces, but they don't care that the people that are protesting don't, because somehow they're the good guys. We're supposed to assume that somebody there isn't an agent provocateur or a right-wing Proud Boy dressed up in black box starting fires so that they'll open fire into a crowd, because that's what happens. That's why you protest. That's why you show your face. You're not protesting unless people can see your face. That's my my opinion. That's what standing up for the Constitution, for freedom, for the country, for your fellow citizens means. It means, that's why, by the way, if you'll notice, and you may have, that my name is everywhere on the shit that I talk about. And I don't play it safe amongst my own side. I don't just sell the talking point from my own side. And I certainly don't cower in, calling Trump a piece of shit, right? I don't run from any of this. And I show my face and I show my name because I stand by what I fucking say. If you're standing against oppression, you don't need to hide your face. Exactly. We got your back. Vaccinated, show your face. Cops had a weird change of heart about wearing masks so early in the pandemic days when all the cops were refusing to wear masks for health reasons. Well, cops don't wear masks right now. You were talking about ICE, and that's a different thing. Also, in drug raids, there's a tendency for guys doing, marshals and DEA agents to cover their face because cartels target families. Immaterial. Again, these raids wouldn't even happen if there was different leadership. That's how this gets caught up. This is how they twist people into knots. People standing down. They want this Portland bullshit. They want this. They want people standing around and getting fucking pepper sprayed at these things. They want you attacking the people carrying out the policy so that they remain blameless. And then when you go back, you don't even go into the fucking voting booth. Or you're like, well, what's the difference? That's what they're shooting for. That's what it is. I don't fall for it. Many of you don't, but there's a statistically significant amount of people who do. And again, I will call this out forever. And I will even call this out for like right-wingers and maggots and those crowd that don't vote. Because the minute you stop voting, that's when shit starts getting violent. When people feel like they're participating and they can at least say, okay, we lost fair and square, or I was for this and I can say that I did that. They're at least still engaging. The minute they stop voting, that's when the prepping starts. And by the way, I'm very happy to be the only person calling this shit out. Because diversity is our strength. And you need somebody, whether you agree with me or not, at least giving you a counterpoint to this, it's somebody else's fault idea. Or that it doesn't matter. Or that the maggots are going to line up behind Trump no matter what. Whatever the common misconception that passes for common sense. You got plenty of people selling that to you. You got plenty of people telling you that one angle over and over and over again. So I feel a personal responsibility to say what I feel is true, but also say it when other people seem to be repeating what they've heard or the popular opinion about it because they've got audience capture or because maybe they haven't thought it through. Maybe they would come to this conclusion if they thought a bit longer about it, but the surface argument is enough. That's okay. Yep. Remember, Trump has an expiration date? Yeah, apparently, according to the show this morning, it's within the next 5 months. Holy shit. If you didn't see this morning's show with Doc Adam, check it out. He's a doctor who specializes in like geriatric medicine and that kind of stuff. He's pointing some stuff out. Like his expiration date on Trump is closer than mine. Cops are collecting data. If you protest, you might want a black bloc. No. If you're protesting, you don't have to wear black bloc. If you're rioting, if you're burning shit, that's a crime. It also reflects poorly on your fellow protesters and might get some of them fucking killed for just protesting. Show your fucking face. I've been from either marching against the Iraq War to the fucking the Women's March on that. I was there and part of that crowd on when Trump was first in office, to the fucking marching. I marched with Gavin Newsom from Harvey Milk Square to the Supreme Court building for marriage equality. And I didn't hide my fucking face. Because I got to tell you something. If you cover your face and you're protesting, you don't count as a number. If there's 1,000 people marching and only 100 people show their face, that's a march of 100 people. That's how the other side reacts to your crowd. Yeah, they totally support this idea. That's why 80% of them or 90% of them won't show their fucking face. Show your face. Stand up for what you believe in. Oh, I'm going to have Doc Adams back on. I've already said we're going to, like, especially, this is always a weird take. Nope. No, it isn't. That's why ICE covers up. ICE covers up for security reasons. That's what they use it to hide behind. But that's why all the black bloc folks do, because I don't believe a lot of them actually care about what they say they do. They're just anarchists who want to burn shit down. It's just like legalized, looting and burning. I don't care what the fuck you say. Because if you're not willing to show your face and do what you're doing and go to jail for it, make that statement, then how do I know you really believe any of it? How does anybody? Which is why Republicans don't fear people in black bloc. They just know it's a guaranteed weapon they can use against Democrats every election cycle. Shit, if people stopped showing up in black bloc like Antifa, the fucking Proud Boys would be down there dressed all in black, throwing shit around just to lay the blame. And they have to some degree. There was one guy snatched in Portland. There was all this big talk about how this guy in black bloc was a van rolled up and grabbed him off the street during the last Trump term. That fucker was a Fed. He was literally an agent. He testified later. And he was throwing shit. Like, whatever. So the point being is, a poor workman blames his tools. And I have no problem with anybody protesting ICE and what ICE is doing right now. But ultimately, the only way you're going to change any of it is to change the color of the government from red to blue. That's it. It's the only way. There is no other way. You're not going to burn down the system. You're not going to, because too many people's children are on the line. They need fucking schools open and stores to have fucking milk in them. They don't need your Mad Max fucking fantasy just because you don't like how shit works. And there you go. That's a hard line, Hal. If you have responsibility to go to jail is not an option. Losing your job is not an option. Yeah, but you won't lose your job. Who the fuck is going to lose their job protesting ICE? Peacefully. Who the fuck's going to lose their job protesting the president? I mean, maybe if you work in the administration or you have a government job, in which case, file a wrongful termination lawsuit like a bunch of other people did and get paid, because that's exactly what happened. So, again, this is, I've never been online with a, where I'm talking about what I believe or any kind of stuff using a fake name, because I've never had that, it was never an option. And nor would I want it to be at this point. And by the way, for the record, just so you know, I've lost several jobs, and in highly lucrative ones at that, simply for being on Queer as Folk. Because I took that job, there were a bunch of other jobs I did not get. And my agents were pretty direct about it. They were worried about it beforehand, but they were definitely direct, like, yeah, they can't because you were on that show. And my response was, I don't want to work for bigots. You talk about protesting? You want to talk about that shit? You want to talk about, like, marching by showing your fucking face? Take a look at some of my sex scenes in Queer as Folk. You're going to talk about the potential for losing your job because you expose yourself? I'll go toe-to-toe with anybody about that shit. So, And yeah, thanks, Becky. Wow, they don't know how acting works. That doesn't matter, Surrender Monkey. It wasn't even that they thought I was gay. It was that, they didn't like that show existed, and I was a part of it. They knew I was straight. That was even worse. Because I was betraying, straight people or some shit. So again, to anybody that would say, if I stand up for what I believe in, and they cover their fucking face and run around throwing shit, and it doesn't change anything, I will put my work up on Queer as Folk up against any of that in terms of the legalization of marriage. Since I played, I was one of the partners in the first legal gay marriage on American television. That was part of our storyline. Ben and Michael getting married. Went to Canada to do it, so they could be legally married. And to use all the pejoratives against me, I am a cis, white, heterosexual male. And I could not be prouder of the work I did on Queer as Folk. And I would urge anyone who thinks you have to cover your face lest you lose work. To remember that. Go watch the show and remember that when I took that show, it was understood that I would lose work because of it. And my goal after it was to guarantee that I didn't, not just because I want to continue to be an actor my entire life, which I am, but because by showing that, maybe people wouldn't have to be as afraid. So I was bullish after the show was over about shuffling people's assumptions about me so that I could continue to work. So people go, oh, okay, you're not going to be punished if you do that. Because you're an educated individual, and that's awesome. Yeah, yes, but that didn't happen by what's cis? That's the pejorative attached to people who are their gender assigned at birth. Now, I don't think the gender assigned at birth thing works at all. I think that's you have a sex assigned at birth, not a gender. It doesn't say anything about who you're going to be or how you're going to live or how you're going to dress or any of that kind of shit. It's just what genitals you have. So you're not assigned male at birth or assigned female at birth. You're described as it. And there's a difference between descriptors and definitions. And that is the definition of your biological system, not a cage you're in for the rest of your life. Don't make fights where there are none. Typecasting is still real in 2025. Oh, I know. Not a pejorative. It's meant to be. Because it assumes that I'm not that thing, that I was assigned that thing. I was not described, I was assigned. That means that it denies my identity. And it doesn't. It's silly. Yes, cis is a pejorative. And I don't care. And it doesn't bother me if people use it. It's just, at this point. But understand that that's what it's meant to be. Yeah, not assigned, observed. Exactly. There's no such, there does not have to be an alternative descriptor to describe something that is, it even happens less than half the time, right? In any kind of statistical average. You don't need an alternate to it other than the norm. It's totally fine. And not being normal is not bad. That's the other thing. Where there's such an attack on cishet normal behavior or the normal behavior or the normal whatever. A norm is just another word for the average, the mean, the baseline. And that doesn't mean, that has no judgment to it at all. It's a definition, not a description. So, Maybe birth certificate should not be sex or gender. It should be genitals. Well, it is in terms of sex. That's what it means. That's what your sex definition is. That's what male and female are. They are the words for it's about your parts. Not how you feel, not how you're going to live, not how you're going to love. Has nothing to do with that. Yeah, it has everything to do with, it has nothing to do with the content of your character. It has everything to do with the contents of your pants. Normal is not boring. Abnormal is not unnatural. Right. Yeah, agreed. And variety of existence is also common, but there can still be a norm that's the baseline. And again, the argument about this is such a waste of fucking time, where that's the root of infighting about these kind of things. Like, we got so offended, like the online, I would argue that Instagram is chock full of normal people wanting to be extraordinary and extraordinary people wanting to act normal. And you're neither and both. Don't let descriptors define you, and don't let your definitions corral you. It's that simple. Anybody who says, that to a trans person, that if somebody doesn't honor their pronouns, they're dehumanizing them, is a weapon of the person who would do that, not a friend to the trans person. You should secure them in your respect for them, not be overly concerned with the disrespect that that humans get from each other and giving it weight. Yeah. Well, Amy, I hope you get through the day. And I hope you get through the night after that, and then there'll be another day after that. Except Floridians, they're a mess. Yeah, well, that's the thing too, Vicky, is that we should be able to have these conversations, and understand that we are doing it from a place of mutual respect, instead of like hammering on language as if they're magic words. There's a lot of magical thinking. Maggots go through this all the time. If you're, you have to use America first like it's a fucking conjuring word. And if you don't, you're immediately suspect. And then if you do, what tone were you using? Because I don't know that you didn't put enough force into that. And then suddenly you start to understand how, people who were doing didn't put enough oomph in their Heil Hitler got thrown in a camp. How could George Carlin exist today? Of course he could. Of course he could. That's like asking if all the people say Blazing Saddles couldn't be made today. Have you fucking watched the Chappelle Show? Not only could Blazing Saddles be made today, it could be on basic cable with commercials. I love when we have these conversations too, Cosmic Rose, because it's important. Because it's an idea that's been placed, I think, in people's heads, that if you have these conversations, you're untrustworthy, or you're insufficiently loyal to the party line, or any of that kind of shit. And maggots deal with this all the time, and this is how the far left kind of polices Democrats, makes centrist a bad word, tries to cajole people for being, engaged and not buying into the thing that they're selling without kicking the tires a little bit. This is our responsibility. If you truly love people, and you truly love the people, especially the minority people and people who are being disenfranchised, and I mean that are by the way, the people that we don't want to be disenfranchised, because I got to tell you, there's some minorities in this country that are that society ostracizes, undermines, and all that. And that's okay. Like Nazis. Like, and I don't mean like the pejorative, normal kind of throwing it around in a conversation, Gadsden's Law, stuff like, or Godwin's Law. I mean actual ones. I mean the kind with face tattoos of swastikas and that kind of stuff. Those people have a hard time operating in normal society. If you notice that, they have a hard time moving up the corporate ladder, buying a house. They basically have one job, which is enforcer on cell block C. And so there are disenfranchised minorities out there that kind of, you can see why. They're not normal, folks. We're totally fine with saying that's not normal. Normal is not the deciding factor in it. There would be good normal or bad normal, or good, a variety or abnormal. It's okay to have these conversations. And you can help people by having these conversations and still make them feel safe. And this is where some of the slacktivist class, and especially those TYT fuckers and some of that crowd, really have a problem. Because some of the issues we're dealing with are so goddamn important and affect real people's lives, like the ACA, like trans rights, those kind of things. Like, there are real people's lives on the line here. And you can't, if you suck at arguing the point, to the point that you make more enemies with your clips than you convert people, which is absolutely the case with them, then maybe you should shut the fuck up about it. Not because you don't have the right to say it, but that you are not helping. You are, again, sometimes the best thing people can do is realize, fuck, if I had said that would have really screwed the pooch. Thank God I kept my mouth shut until I could think about this a while. And that's why when I bring these kind of things up and we talk about these things, I want you to ruminate on the ideas that I talk about here when we have these little breakout sessions, as it were. About, the fuck ice concept versus like fuck the leadership. And if you really if you really mean it, you'll change the leadership. That will be your key goal in a realistic way. Red to blue, period. Because if you're not serious about it, you can yell all you want, but you're not going to change anything. And that means you either know this and are participating in it, or don't really give a fuck and just like the yelling. And you can disagree with me on it, and I'm, I think you're wrong, but that's the whole point. A woman walked up to me at a show, and when I was talking about something in my show at one point afterwards, and at the meet and greet, and she was like, well, that's just your opinion. And I was like, of course it's my fucking opinion. That's why I said it. What do you think I do, rent opinions to talk about on stage? I mean what I say. If I'm confronted with new evidence that drastically changed that, then my opinion will change organically. But I'm not just cooking up opinions, and I'm not borrowing them from somebody else. There's plenty of that going around. But what I would say is that at least know this, that when I say the things I say on my show, whether you agree with them or don't, or think they're either too flippant and funny with things that are serious, or too serious about things that it's just a joke. Like my take on people who, like anti-heroes in movies all the time and TV shows and deify them and don't watch shows with real heroes in them because they go, it's just fiction. And then you wonder why some of these people end up voting for Trump, because they're like, they fetishize evil. All I ask is that you give it serious consideration. Do you think they'll use our soldiers next November? No, I do not. You have educated opinions, which doesn't seem to be the norm anymore. It never was the norm, Becky. It's never been the norm. We just took it for granted that the vast majority of the people in the subset of humans that got online or got on television talking about shit gave it some thought first. But now there's a sea of people that can blather all they want, and if they've got enough money, they can push themselves to the front of the line like Tucker Carlson. So that's what I would float, and I'm at the end of the show. But I'm glad we, when we go into these conversations, both back and forth with the chat and on stuff, that I kind of bring up apropos of something. But I want you to consider this, that in any situation where you find yourself yelling about or cursing a circumstance, how many steps back from it, meaning how it started, how it continued, how it's being carried out, can you go back before you find the actual entry point where you could make a difference? And in most of these cases, especially in the political realm, you will find that it's the voting booth every time, and driving a friend to the voting booth, and voting consistently for a lot of the stuff that we want and alleged to want. Again, I will give everybody an out that I don't necessarily believe everybody who says they support what I support really believes that. Usually doesn't take long before they fall out, like, Rusty Trombone or Jimmy Dore. That crowd, right? But that has to be the thing. That's your easiest entry point. Lowest effort for the biggest impact. Then your second point might be that I'm really good at talking about this particular issue online. Like when I have an argument online about this particular topic, that's when everybody shuts up and listens. That's the key point then. Don't get distracted with a bunch of other issues. You might be a torpedo that's perfect to discuss healthcare, welfare, the economy, women's rights, whatever it is. You might be great at it. And you can tell by the response that you get. And the people go, oh, that's a good point. Oh, I understand what you're saying. Okay, I see. I thought you were this way, but I'm actually, I agree with you on that point. If you find yourself in a situation where you're talking online and people start talking to you like that after they were flame warring you, that means you're good at it. That means that's your specialty. Because we don't need fighters. Democracy is what you have instead of fighting. You need salesmen. You need debaters. You need people that can convince people who are not convinced yet that this is the proper path. That's the real job of government. You have never seen a boxing match where they've gone touch gloves and come out legislating. I can't door knock, but I can make calls. See, there you go. Narachi, me neither. Nobody bring up Glenn Beck. We're almost done. Right. Yeah. No, we're not doing Glenn Beck today. Although there is one clip that was there. I didn't cover it because I didn't get time to it because he was talking to his AI George Washington because he's a complete fucking dweeb. But you can see right now the backbiting that's going on in the world of MAGA, and it is to be avoided at all costs if you can. So, anyways, love you guys. I will see you tomorrow. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. And considering what I've been through over the last month and some of the conversations I've had with folks out there, I would say if there's somebody in your life that you haven't spoken to in a little while, that you care deeply for at some point, and you just lost touch with them. Maybe you don't quite know where they are. Maybe you know they're on Facebook, you have their phone number, but you haven't talked to them in a while. Shoot them a text message and say, thinking about you, I hope you're doing great. That would be the change you want to see in the world. Beyond what they're doing and where they are right now, just letting them know that somebody out there is thinking about them. Oh, thank you, Nola. Thank you so much. So Super Chat's always welcome. I haven't done the goals in a while because I always feel weird doing it, but the support is terrific and really appreciated. Obviously, I have a lot to make up for because I was gone for a month. So much love. If you can Venmo, if you can Patreon, if you can Super Chat on the shows, whatever, it's very welcome. If you can't do any of those things, you can share and do all the free stuff. But if you can't bring yourself to do those things because you're paralyzed with fear in the current climate, just sit there and laugh and let me inform you and participate and talk to the chat, or sit there in the quiet and don't be in the chat at all and just go, I like the sound of the guy's voice or something. Whatever you do, I I really appreciate the gift of your eyeballs and your time. So take care of yourself, and I will see you guys later on. Let's see. I'm in a very holiday mood. I hope you are too.
Uncle Joe is drunk by 5, and Marie can't let it slide. She brings up the will again. Christmas with these assholes again. Cousin Bill forgot my name, still insists we play charades. Grandma's glare could pierce your skin. Christmas with these assholes again. Oh, the eggnog spiked, the tension's high, the turkey's dry as sand. But I'll survive, just smile and lie. It's Christmas with these assholes again. The carolers sang, but Dad slammed the door, said he's had enough of their cheer. The dog ate the ham and then threw it up, but hey, that's just this time of year. Sister Sue brought her new fling. Mom pretends to like the ring. She whispers he's just like the last 10. Christmas with his assholes again. Oh, the lights are dim, the insults fly, the pie's been burned to ash. But I'll survive just one more night. It's Christmas with these assholes.